Fine on the Inside was curated to switch the narrative, to show that it's never too late to shift your mindset, heal your heart, and live the life that you truly desire. Sis, you are magic. You just haven't discovered it yet. But in order to get to the goal, you have to do a little bit of digging, getting through all the hard stuff to allow your true self to shine. Because yes, you are beautiful. But how is your soul really feeling? Are you fine on the inside? Hey y'all, welcome back to Fine on the Inside. This your girl Jazz, and I am here with my girls. Y'all know we got Candace over here. Hey girl.
Hey.
And we also have our special guest today, Odessa, who is a essential staple in the health and wellness community. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much, Jazz, for having me.
I'm just gonna have you introduce yourself, let everybody know like what you do, what you bring to the health and wellness community, and all that.
Yeah. Awesome. So as Jazz says, my name is Odessa. I focus on helping people basically tap into the highest self of them by focusing on the physical aspect and also working on the internal aspect of themselves. So I'm a personal trainer. I'm also a sports nutritionist, so what you consume also plays an effect on the inside portion. And then I focus on bringing the community together within this like fitness space itself. Yeah, I've been doing this now for over a decade. And I love it. It's very rewarding. It's like a paid forward that I do.
Yeah.
I can tell you like it a lot.
Yeah, you're like a natural. Like
Yeah.
when I first met you, I'm like, okay, she's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
So good looking.
Yes. Body tea.
Body tea.
Can I get a sip?
So usually how we do the pod, we'll do like 2 icebreakers and then we'll just go right into the conversation. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
So, what is one thing that you would be what is one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
That's a really good question. One thing that people would be surprised to know about me is that I was born in South America, then I came to the U.S. When I was 10. So I took my time to like figure out how to translate the dialect, the English dialect. So prior I had like a thicker accent, so you would know where I came from. But now it's like I was able to like overcome it and adapt to, the accent in the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can code switch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Can we hear some of that?
You want to hear some of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have to have a proper conversation
Okay.
so we can have it come out.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
So
that.
when you meet somebody and like you tell them, do they be like, oh dang, like I thought you was just from Philly or something?
Oh my God, it's so crazy. I have a friend that I knew for like 10 years. He's like, I didn't know you were not American. I was like, damn. But yeah, I do have people that are surprised. Unless they call me, I'm at home with my entire family. Mm-hmm. Then it's like a whole different conversation, a whole different language. It's like, wait, what? It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what did y'all just say?
It wasn't meant for you to know.
So, as a personal trainer, I love music. So, what is what is a song that might get you through like a tough workout?
So it depends. Like, I feel like I have seasons. So right now I'm on like this Beyonce kick. Mm-hmm. So I'm really feeling that song Bucket, the Sweet Honey. And then like last year I was on the Break My Soul one. So so it really just depends on like what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, those songs like Bucket, like certain lyrics, it was like a part she's like there's snakes.
What about Cozy?
Cozy? That
my skin.
That one was when I was turning 34.
Oh,
that
really?
song hit. Yeah, I felt cozy.
Yeah,
I like that. That sounds really good.
Yeah, when I seen the Real for Sweat Off and y'all had Bucket on there, I was like, yeah, this should go hard.
It's so funny. When I decided to use the song, the videographer was like, I don't know why you want to use this song. But the lyrics are so like when you actually take away the instrumental and listen to the lyrics or just read the lyrics, it's actually really like empowering. It's telling you like, Bucket is like for the way I translate it is like fuck it up, like do your shit, execute it. You know what I mean? People are gonna come, they're gonna show up, however, but you don't have a trigger reaction to them. You just go.
Right.
And then she says it, she's like stamp on the snake's head, like
right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of. I like that. It's a lot. You put a thought into that.
Yeah.
Like, I just be like, oh, this song sounds good. Let me just throw that on there. So today we're gonna talk about like trauma bonds. As a sports nutritionist, our food plays like a big role in our mental health, how we're feeling internally and externally. So we're going to talk about all that. So my first question is, can you define your idea of what a trauma bond is and share some common signs that someone might be in one?
Ooh. So this is like my favorite topic. So, and it's my favorite topic because I experienced it myself, right? And for me, like discovering it was during the pandemic. So I had time to like work through to understand like what I was feeling. And like with codependency and trauma bonding, basically what happens is that you kind of remove yourself out of the equation. It's like your priority is no longer yourself.
Yeah.
So different things that you'll notice, like you'll have like trigger signs, like there's something happening and you know it doesn't feel right, but you still push through it to say, you know what, I'm gonna make it work, right? Or it's like up and down with a roller coaster emotion, you know, it's like passion and like anger and pain. Those are signs that you start feeling. It's like internally, you know, something is like disruptive. It's like there's no balance. That's when you know it's slowly starting to like fester and it's gonna start becoming like it's a living being within you. Now you don't know yourself at all. So trauma bond is when you don't put yourself, you are no longer first. Yeah.
You can really, and sometimes you see those things early on,
and you ignore
and
them.
you're like, no.
You ignore them.
So
you
bad.
Ignore them. And like within the fitness space itself, when I first decided to bring back OK training because I had to rebrand myself. My focus was only women, and my focus was to like put some more emphasis on their self-confidence. I feel like women are confident, period. But it's just like areas, right? But throughout their like journey, either they're married, in a relationship, they're a parent or something, life is happening. It's like they lose the sense of self. And it's because they're pouring either into their kids. So like trauma bond and then codependency can even be with your kids. You know what I mean? Because it's like your identity is in, I'm a mother. But then it's like you don't remember who you are, right? And you're having these mixed emotions and these feelings where it's like you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself like, I remember who I was. I used to do this. But it's like you put all those feelings behind and you're like, okay, I got to go to the soccer game. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to show up here. Even in friendships, it shows up, right? And it's like, well, I have to be here. I have to pick up the call. I have to drop what I'm doing so I can be that friend, right? But it's creating an imbalancement internally, right? It's like your emotions are up and then it's down. You know what I mean?
I feel like you can kind of create resentment too over time because sometimes, like for me, I have to think about why am I doing these things for this person?
Yeah.
And sometimes secretly we be doing it because we do want something in return.
Yeah.
We never communicate it to the person.
Yeah.
So it's like we do, and then when they don't show up the way we imagine that they should, it's like we looking sideways, and then they start looking sideways at us because it's like, well, why you change all of a sudden? Number one, you probably like just drained yourself to the max. And you're not even getting nothing back. I feel like any relationship should be reciprocal. And we should always have check-ins. And
I feel like
at some
that's
point,
such a
like to see, make sure that everybody involved is okay.
It was a quote I saw, or it was like a video, one of the two. And it says, like, everyone makes reference, like, your cup is full. And what we literally do is, like, we take our cup and we pour into somebody else. But it said, let the cup run it over.
Right?
I see, And it's, like, not let your cup tilt it over. Let it run it over. So whatever is left is what you're giving to someone else, right? So that trauma bonding portion that you mentioned that stuck out the most is that you basically, like I said, you forget who you are. You know what I mean? And it's just pain. It's pain, but we're making this feel like love or something. Like we try to code it, right?
I think a lot of times that comes from like familiar, like being familiar. You know what I mean? Like say we grew up like a toxic home environment. It's like the type of love we received was toxic. So it's like sometimes if a person is peaceful to us, we might think, oh, they're not really that into us or they boring or whatever. It takes somebody to be like toxic or a certain way to us for us to feel that love. But it's like no, we gotta like reprogram ourselves, and I feel like that's really how trauma bonds really start. Like just having that like familiar feeling, and then they might come from like the same type of environment, and y'all can relate to stuff like that. And that really like brings people together. But
oh my goodness.
But sometimes like
that's the big on trauma bond,
even though it's painful, the things that we go through. It's like a book. It's called this book. called addicted to pain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can't, even though you know it's not good for you, you just stay there.
Yeah.
Because in some way, somehow, it's just.
And sometimes it's comfortable. Yeah, it's comfortable. Yeah. That's comfortable
to feel pain. Ain't that like?
Yeah.
Because you're not really happy.
That's what
you're not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people it's like, that's where you can you can control the outcome. You know what to expect of it.
Exactly.
If you go into like a healed space or like, a space that's not so familiar, it's like scary. So it's like, let me just stick to where the
I think it's a battle between your pride and your ego, not wanting to let go of the thing that wasn't good because your pride is telling you, like when you go into a relationship, you're thinking, this is it, this is the one. And when you finally come to a realization, like, this ain't the one, your pride be hurt and your ego be like, nah, girl, like you
I
couldn't
did all
control.
that work.
And then you find yourself kind of, in a way, manipulating, right?
Yeah.
Because we always talk about how people manipulate.
Because you change yourself. You tweak yourself to try to become
and you try to force the other person to be this way and have these outcomes, and it's like I had to look up certain things, and I was like, oh shoot, maybe I was doing reverse psychology. I did not even know I was doing it.
But the thing is that we learned that from childhood. Like our parents are the first one that introduced us to codependency and trauma bonding, because when you think about it, your parents said, don't do this, right? And you do it, right? And then you get in trouble.
Right.
Then they punish you, right? You're going to do everything possible for them to say, okay, I'm no longer upset with you. Or they'll say, come eat. Or they'll come call you over and they'll hold your hand and be like, I love you. I just want you. Like, all of that is
we're like a little puppy.
It's a build-up. So, like, when we become adults, we do the same thing. It's like we're feeling the pain, we're feeling the discomfort, we're feeling the imbalancement, but we're waiting for that affirmation because that's what our parents did to us. Yeah. So it's like, even if it could be, like I said, a relationship, it could be friendship, it could even be your kids, right? It can even be in the workplace.
Right.
That sense of affirmation to say, oh, you're doing a great job. Let's go grab something to eat. You're like, oh my God, you love me. No, it doesn't mean that. It's just like, that's what you're so accustomed to. We're like, codependency and trauma bonding is something that we are taught from the time we are like on this earth. From the time you're from 1 to 5, those are the most impressible years of a child's life. So if that's what you're doing, scolding them, don't do this. Yeah. Do your homework, do this. Like constantly like beating that drum on them. And then the reward is, I'll go buy you a toy. Right? Oh, you can watch the movie, you can play a video game. It creates that. It's like you don't have a sense of like your own ownership to say, I don't want to. Does that make sense? It's like they tell us not, we as a child, you're not to be seen, right? Yeah. You're not to be heard, nor seen sometimes, right? So when you become adults, when you're in these relationships, it's like, if I'm seen, I might not be chosen. Yeah. If I speak up, I might not be chosen. I might not, you know what I'm saying? I'll get passed over for the promotion. Like, in different areas of your life, I might not be the person that he chooses or she chooses. You know what I'm saying? It's sad because it starts from then to now. Yeah. And
then it's like, always, I feel like everything goes back to self-love. Yeah. Because it's like, when you are able to see, like, okay, I am going to be okay even if this person does not choose me. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to figure, like, to do that. It takes a lot of work. So sometimes we got to sit with ourselves. We got to ask ourselves the hard questions. Why am I staying in this situation? No, it's not healthy for me. Or why, am I drawn to this? Or whatever it is. It's like we really got to ask ourselves the hard questions to get down to the root cause of it, or else we will keep going into these cycles. Over. You know how they say, like the same person is going to show up just like in a different body, and that happens. Like, it really does. It does. And it's like, until we do that work, until we sit with ourselves, and it's like, it's just going to keep happening. So that's essential for real. Like, I feel like that's one thing, like, I had to do. Because, like, I feel like we'd be like, men ain't shit. But it's like, no, like, you keep picking the men that ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like,
one thing I don't say is that,
But you don't keep picking the men that ain't shit?
No, I don't say that they ain't shit.
Oh, well, I'm just saying, like, all right.
No, I'm just saying, I like that about myself, though.
But I feel like I do like that about you.
It is about who you choose. Yeah.
But I feel like that's a common thing in women, to say men ain't shit. Yeah. And it's like, well, who are you choosing? And also, who are we? You know what I mean? We are a reflection
of our choice.
Of who we attract and so forth. So it's like, well, if they ain't shit with you, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really a lot of self-work that goes into it. And it's like, you know, yeah, they have their toxic traits, you know, that come back to us, but then it's like, we're obviously attracted to that, or, you know, whatever it is, or we have our toxic traits that, you know, we push onto them and so forth. So it's always like, you know, more work to do. And
I feel like the word toxic trait kind of like, I don't want to use the word triggering, but I don't know if you want to call it toxic trait. It's just, it's just who you are.
Yeah.
Right? They're not toxic trait. It just, I had to learn very quickly, like this year, especially, well, last year, we're in 2025 now, especially last year, I had to learn how to sit with things, right? That was the most difficult thing to ever do, is like really sitting with yourself, right? And not using words like, it's not my toxic trait. It's just what all I know is what I know. How to love is how I know to love, right?
Yeah.
And we have learned how to love with like bruises. Right? So when you meet someone, if they didn't go through the process of healing themselves as well too, eventually it gets to a point where, like I said, codependency and the trauma, you constantly wanted to like make that person better or show up for let your boss celebrate you or whatever. You constantly want to do that, but you're emptying your cup, like I mentioned, while this person's cup is getting full, but they still didn't do the work for them to show up the way you want them to show up. But it's how they're showing up for themselves. You haven't shown up for yourself the way you wanted to.
Right.
You keep showing up for them the way you
want
should be showing up
from them.
Yeah,
because you're seeking approval.
Yeah, you want
to
you want that affirmation. Like, you're doing great job. Oh my God, you're amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're killing it. You know, I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? And it's okay, you know, to have those things, but you have to get to a point where you don't need it. Yeah. It's like, you can tell yourself that.
Yeah, that's fact. Yeah. I love how you, like, reword it, you know, the toxic traits, because that is true. Like, you only could do what you knew at the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, once you, like, we shouldn't word it as that. So thank you guys.
Yeah. The only reason why I think the only reason why they may say toxic is because it's like
it's a trendy word.
It's a trendy word, plus it's like a form of suicide. We learned a lot about suicide today.
I was just laughing because we literally went to a suicide prevention training earlier. Yeah. So it was just
for real. So I feel like you like slowly, if you don't try to evolve and change yourself and be self-aware of the things, you're alive, but you're not living to your full potential. So you're slow. It's like a slow kill.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like a slow kill. You know. So that's why I don't like the word toxic like that. So I'm with you on that, but I feel like if I had to look at it that way, that's why it would be toxic for sure.
Yeah. Odessa, as like a sports nutritionist, how do you feel like, well, also as a personal trainer, like how we take care of ourselves affects like how we deal with trauma bonds?
So remember, it's putting yourself first. So like when it comes to personal training, I always tell everyone, like, personal training, one-on-one session is by far the most selfish thing you can ever do, and it's totally fine, right? It is the time that it is my hour to myself, 2 hours to myself, 3 hours to myself, and it just shows that I have discipline to show up for myself. Like, what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do it, right? If I say I'm going to commit time to myself, that's what I'm doing. I'm showing up for me, right? That's the fitness aspect of it. And you're doing it over and over again, so you're building up consistency. Then when it comes to the nutrition aspect of it, it's like what you consume really is a reflection of how you show up, right? So if you're eating junk food, you gotta remember your gut is another part of your brain. Yes, so it's like if you're just feeding it nonsense, you're just gonna
and you can't even think.
You can't even think.
Yeah, like your mind is off,
exactly.
Stuff like that.
So like when you make the decision to say, okay, I'm gonna change how I'm gonna be active. I'm gonna start moving. Like, you can start small. It doesn't have to be the gym. It could be literally, I'm just gonna walk around the block. I'm gonna do 10,000 steps. You know what I'm saying? It makes you feel a certain way. Why? Because you are showing up for yourself first, right? Yeah. And then with nutrition, when you say, okay, I want to eat a certain way, because you want it better the way you sleep, right? You want to show up. You want your skin to clear up. You know what I mean? You want everything about yourself to feel and move different. Food is fuel, right? So in order for you to fuel your body the proper way, where you don't shut down, you want to go for rich, colorful foods. And it plays a lot on, like, your mindset overall.
I feel like also when you show up for yourself, right, it allows the person to meet you where you at. Yeah. Like, it develops a more healthier, balanced, mutual relationship versus, like, you over here and I see you over here and I just want you so bad. So I'm going to, like, completely just neglect my kids. You know, they going to have oodles and noodles, but you about to have steak. And I'm going to come all the way to you and give it to you. But it's like... No, I'm just giving, like, real, stuff that people won't say, but they definitely did, like, for sure, right? Versus, like, it's like, okay, I know I got a meal prep on Sunday, and I know you want to come over, but I'm meal prepping here, so I can't have company at that time. The more that person see you doing that, he or she may be like, well, how can I help you meal prep? Yep. Things that you never even imagined.
They're going to want to level up too.
Yeah. You will let the person show up for you. Allow space for that person. But if the person just see you constantly coming to them, even if they not like that, you're going to create that scenario.
And we are like who we are surrounded by. You know what I mean? So it's like it should be like equally yoked as much as it can be. You know what I mean? And it's like you might be at 40%, I might be at 60%. I can help bring you up a little bit, or you help bring me up a little bit. But it's like just staying consistent with yourself. That does show people, you know what I mean? But also it can be the other way around. If you see them like slacking and stuff like that, it might be easier for you to like fall into those habits. So we really got to like show up for ourselves. Even if whoever, you're around isn't doing it, just keep doing it. And then it's like hopefully, they'll catch on.
Yeah.
So.
And then with the food, right, that you were talking about, the colorful foods and stuff like that. Yeah, all those things play. Because I realized for me, if I start to eat, like, things that are not beneficial, and then on top of that, I don't work out, I'm more prone to have an anxiety attack. I'm more prone to, like, be depressed and stay there longer. I'm more prone to make choices that don't benefit me or the circle that I'm in.
You know what I noticed? Alcohol. Like, anytime that I was, like, heavy into drinking, my anxiety was up, my sleep was off, I'm not like doing what I'm supposed to do, and that's something that I really had to like cut out a lot because that was really like hindering me.
I feel like, and whenever I say like I don't drink anymore, I was doing it so I can like be more social in spaces, but then I was just like, if I really take care of myself, like what I eat and practice just like sitting with myself, I'll be able to be social in social space, right? So drinking was just an escape. But what I wanted to say is like when you whatever you're doing, right? We talk about attractions and vibration. Like when you're vibing a high, like you're working out, you're eating good, like you glow different, right? You glow different, and then you attract people that way, right? Yep. So if you're in a relationship with someone or starting a relationship with someone and you're like, hey, I'm meal prepping, right? And that person's like, well, let's go. I want to take you here, whatever. Or something else, like something that's not what your Sunday is about. It creates pain, but not physical pain. It's like this disruption within yourself. You're like, damn, I shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? And then we confuse the fact that they're saying they want to take us out. Like, maybe it's just love. But it's just you doing a disjustice with yourself. Yeah. That's what you're feeling.
And that dysregulates your nervous system. And that's when like anxiety and stuff happens because it's like, you're going against yourself. Yeah. It's like your body saying, we shouldn't do that. But then they're like, whatever.
And you're afraid to say, hey, how about you come over and prep with me?
Right.
How about we have one of my prep that I'm put together? Or I can make extra. That way we can still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that because you're like, if I turn it down, then maybe you might not ask me to go anywhere again, or be like, oh, she's boring. She just have this strict diet. Like, I can't do anything with her. If he meets you in the space of you vibing high, working on yourself physically, taking care of what you're eating, what you're listening to, whatever it is, if he's attracted to that, that's what he's attracted to. Yeah. Is when you try to, like,
be something else,
and then you don't even really be happy. Like honestly, like it's a temporary. Like you'll go out to dinner and then it'll be cool, for a little bit, and then the long term effect, you know.
Yeah, one thing I heard is like somebody who truly for you or wants you, like nothing is gonna keep them away.
That's true.
From like be with you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, who you really are is going to be enough. So it's like, you know, we got to keep that in mind. Like, if they don't want a meal prep, well, you ain't for me, bye.
Well, no,
Well, I'm playing, but
I don't know if it's if you don't respect what I'm doing, right? If you like, I understand if it's like, hey, I would love to take you out. So someone taking you out, right, doesn't mean you go out and just eat whatever, right? I tell my clients this all the time. Like, you can go on that date. You go on the date. I create like custom-made meal plans. So it's like, it'll tell you your protein, it'll tell you your veggie, it tells you your carbs. You go to that restaurant, you look at the menu, you ask the waiter, can I put together different things? You can ask those questions, right? And that's the next thing too. You got to ask, right? Overall in life, right? Closed mouth don't get fed. So if your goals are really what you want to accomplish, you just look at the menu like, you know what? I would love to have the chicken. And you can even tell them like, you can tell them how many ounces you want. It's so crazy. And then a cup of rice and veggies. Like, you can tell them these things. I feel like I said before, because from the time we were children as adults, we feel like we can't do those things. And more likely you've impinged those same theories on your kids if you have kids, right? Or your family member or whatever. Because when you go to restaurants, certain people are like, don't do that. You're so complicated. No, I'm not complicated. I just know what I want. And I ask for what I want. The only thing they could tell me is no. Does that make sense? So there's no chaos with me internally. That's when we'll get to that part, but that's when you like discover, like, you understand where the codependency comes in.
It's crazy because I used to deal with that a lot. Like, I used to be like a very much like people pleaser, and I feel like sometimes I still have to catch myself. But I never wanted to like have confrontation. But that was because I grew up in such a dysregulated space. I would just be very easily like adaptable to what was presented to me. So I was like, you know what? You want to go here? I really don't want to go there, but it's all right. You know, it's not that deep. And I feel like that kind of turned into my personality. Like, I'm just like a chill person. Like, it's not really that deep. But I had to learn how to speak up for myself and say what I want, because that's how you want to get the life you desire, is by, like you said, speaking up and saying what you need.
I think the word that I'm starting to like use more often is just no. And
you don't have to explain.
Don't have to explain, but then it's like, say no, and no, sometimes the person is not going to be happy with the no. Like, you have to sit with it.
It's standing on your nose.
You have to sit with it.
It's standing on it. It's the stand out. Because at first you're like, I'm not going to do this. And then you look around, you're like,
you got to sit with it. Like, I feel like you have to sit with it and process, like, why am I saying no, right? And then understanding the reason behind. You're not giving it to them. You're allowing yourself to sit with it, to understand and process why you're saying no. Right? And then you're okay.
You become okay.
It's just uncomfortable at first.
It really is. Especially, like, you know how some people you tell no, and then they'll come back and be like, well, I know you said you didn't want that, so. And it's like, you really trying to test me right now? Because then the part of you be like, but you know what? Actually, it's been a long enough time, you know. We can continue. And then you find yourself right back in that miserable spot, because, like you said, finding out why you said no in the beginning is going to be key to, like, reminding yourself, like,
I agree.
So can you, like, for trauma bonding, right? Do you mind sharing an experience where you first realized you were in a trauma bind?
So for me, this was like, I was probably like 25, 26. And I was in a space where change was happening. Like, my life was changing. And this is when I was stepping into the fitness industry fully. And I got invited to a workout. And when I got invited to this workout, I kid you not, I saw lightning, I saw storms, I saw everything. There was so much disruption that was happening. Because
like physically or like on a spiritual level?
It's in my head, girl. It's all in my head.
I figured. I just wanted to double check.
It's all in my head. And this is my first time making a decision to no longer stay at where I was at. Right? So the relationships that I was surrounded by, it was like, you drink, we go out, we party, we do all that stuff, right? And then I come home, I feel drained. And then I will wake up, right? and I would drink before I went to work. Like, I would drink before I went to work because I didn't want to be there, right? So that was, I didn't understand it then, right? So I'm giving you guys the back end story. I didn't understand it then. And I would go to work, and I would show up at work, and I would be the best. Why? And there goes codependency. It's like I want to show up and be so great because then I get celebrated. Like, no one can do what I'm doing in the workplace, right? I'm the best, right? I got my own private little areas to sit. I'm good, you know? I have the best doctor I'm working with. I'm great. And I realized that I always wanted to get that, you know, affirmation back, that celebrate, that you're doing a great job. Like, the moment I went and did my peer review and they said, oh, you weren't smiling enough with the, you know, patients. Like, okay, I'm going to smile more, right? So I did everything to show up for them. I didn't understand what that was. So now this goes back to where I started. I got invited to a workout. And I think I turned them down like several times. And then I finally said yes to myself. Now I understand that at the age of 35. 20-something-year-old me didn't understand what that was. 20-something me didn't even know what the word codependency, trauma bond, none of that, right?
Yeah.
So I sat in my car at that time, and I sat in that parking lot for like 30 minutes straight. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to do this. As I'm driving, it's the lightning, it's the thunder, it's raining. I finally get to the workout, and I walk up the steps, and I kid you not, it was sunny. There was no lightning. Wow. There was no thunder. It was just me literally choosing myself to put myself as a priority. There was no imbalancement. There was no chaos, right? It's because, and I call it stepping out the paradigm, but it was just me choosing to no longer be in that space where I'm pleasing someone else.
Right, yeah.
It's like I actually really wanted to do this for myself. And that led to something so beautiful. Like, I stopped drinking. I started working out.
Okay, wait a minute. Pause for a second. Right? Just so I can get a better understanding.
Yeah.
So, what was the trauma bond? Was it you?
It was my workplace.
It was your workplace.
The codependency came in.
And then the workout. As you was getting to the workout, it was like fears being created in your mind.
Yeah, they were always there.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of like, imagine I'm ripping the Band-Aid off of myself.
Got you. And then when you got there, it wasn't even nothing that you was thinking.
There.
Nothing that you
It was sunny.
I think it's dope that was like your realization of a trauma bond, because when I think of trauma bond, I automatically think of relationships.
I feel like we all do.
Yeah.
So when I first was talking about the topic, you're going to go through many stages of it, right? It could be, like I said, workplace, kids, relationships. Like, it's going to go through, right? Like, I have stories of different timing where it came up, right? So like you said, we're always working on ourselves, right? We're always going to, it's just that we discover things faster. Yeah. Right?
We're able to recognize it better. Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to relationships, like, I've had relationships where I was molded into, like, not speaking up too much. Like, I thought I was a problem. Where it was like, you're very outspoken, right? And it's like the subtle ways people will train you. And this was like a friendship that I had. And it would be like, you're so loud, you're so aggressive, you know, you're this, you know. And it was like, well, if I remain the way that I am, no one's gonna like me, right? So, like, I need to become everything they want me to become, because then they'll like me. And I was Miss Popular, but Miss Popular was not fine on the inside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like everything I was doing was very codependent. Like, if they say, I waited for what they wanted to do. It was like the constant standard, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this? Like,
it makes you insecure. Like
100%.
Yeah.
The confidence.
You
is
gotta
like
wait for that, you know, cosign and that, like, you know, run like every decision that you make by somebody, and that's like, who wants to live like that?
And anyone that does that too, right? Remember I said pain is not always just physical, right? It's not. It's chaos, right? That it's painful because you're losing yourself.
Yeah.
And I got mute. I was mute. It was like being in the space. I couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, bruh. This is not for me.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like when you start to, like, dig deep, you find yourself.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
Yeah, you find yourself, and those relationships fall.
Yeah.
And they fell, and I leaned more into myself even more, and I was just like, damn, now I learn how to discover it faster. So when I see it coming, it's like, ooh, wait.
Yep.
You're trying to change me to be what you want me to be, not who. You don't want me as the friend as I am. You want me to be the friend that you want me to be. You want us to have a trauma bond experience. I don't want those relationships, right? No. So, like, that's an example of, like, codependency. Like, I was so codependent in that group. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. But when I learned to sit with myself and, like, really identify, like, I lost who I was, a sense of self. I was no longer a priority. I was everything for them.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, who is she?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And God forbid you make a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, when I mean, and everybody.
But when you start to speak up for yourself.
Yeah, like, even if there was, like, one example that was so crazy, and I always think about it sometimes. Like, I sit back and I look at life. Like, I'm 35 now. I'm like, damn, I really went through some stuff. I'm still growing, so I'm going through it. I didn't have a car. They say, we are going to pick you up at this time. Even if I was, like, 1 minute late. I was 1 minute late once. They left me. Right? And then some people might will be like, well, that's just teaching you time management skill. No.
Yeah.
People that care for you love you. They won't leave you. They'll wait for you. And, like, when the pandemic happened, that was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
That's when I got my first book. I was trying to remember the name of the book so I can, like, share with you guys. But that book, when I opened that book and I read that book, again, during the pandemic, it was the lightning, the thunder, the storms, all that again. And just, like, peeling back the Band-Aid, tearing the paper in half, and, like, really undoing all the things that I endured those 5 years or 6 years or so underneath those, like, friendships that I had in the past. Yeah. Yeah. Damn. And then the people that love you, they're going to show up for you.
Facts,
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a lot, right?
It's good, though.
Yeah.
So what is, like, one piece of advice that you guys would give to somebody who's, like, not fine on the inside, or somebody who's dealing with trauma bonds or codependency?
For me, the biggest thing is, like, learning to sit with it, right? It's easy to just please people. It's easy to just show up for people and not show up for yourself. It's always easy, right? Yeah. At first. And then the hard part is when you step back and you're by yourself and you realize that you weren't of justice to yourself. Like, you didn't choose you. So my biggest advice when it comes to that is, like, sit with it. If your no is a no, no is a no.
Yeah.
If you don't, they didn't like you in the first place.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So even if you said no, they didn't like you. Even when you say yes, they still don't like you.
Right.
They're just liking you because you do what they say.
Yeah,
you're a puppet.
Yeah.
My best advice for you is don't be no one's puppet. No one controls you with strings. Clip them. Period. Right? And for me, clipping them in the space that I'm in.
That's going to be the name of the episode.
Clip them. Clip them. Clip them strings. Clip them strings. There's no puppet. No one's controlling you. And the first thing, like, in the space that I'm in is, like, fitness. Right? Choose you. Go to the gym. Work out. Clean the sauna. Go walk on the treadmill. Stretch. Do yoga. Do something in there.
There's so many benefits to exercise.
Yeah. And then, like, decide on what, like, you want to eat, because what you consume is really a reflection of how you show up and how you think and how you speak and the books you read and the music you listen to, because that also opens up things where you start thinking, like, what's the frequency this is on? Because I don't know if it doesn't sit well with me. It's creating pain or some sort of chaos. This doesn't feel like love. I don't want that. So my advice is, like, learn to sit with it. Sit with yourself. Be okay with those solid no's, and who's for you will be there for you.
Yeah.
That's it. Your tribe. Your vibe attract your tribe. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
How about you, Candace?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I was sitting here thinking, like, of some transparent, like, real life things that, for where I am now, for me, after years of therapy and just a whole cycle of the same thing, a few years ago I had to figure out, I had to acknowledge the feelings I was feeling, like, well, why am I feeling depressed? Why do I have these, like, all these things? I got tired and frustrated with it.
Yeah.
So I started Googling the feelings. And like all these things would come up, attachment and anxiety, this, that. And I would just literally look through and found what resonated with me.
Yeah.
To identify the core issue as to why I kept choosing.
Yeah.
I really feel like we know within us, it's in you.
Yeah.
Like what the issue is, but you have to be willing to be aware of it and not just like say like, okay, I got this going on and say it. No, you gotta see it and then start to take some action towards it, and then constantly when you see the signs early on, like you said, being able to, dismiss it, versus, because ultimately you're really not happy.
Yeah.
And on a spiritual level, when a lot of us are spiritual, it could be something on that level that's charging you to make a different choice.
Yeah.
For your betterment. And until you make that choice, you're just going to continue to go in these vicious cycles. And at the end of the day, all you do have is you. And it's not in a selfish way, but it really is true. Like, I can't be who I am, this destructive person, and then want to have such a positive impact. I have to be able to face those things that I don't like about myself, that feel uncomfortable. And like I was telling you before, choosing your pain, because it is ultimately in the beginning painful when you do have to tell yourself no, when you were so used to allowing yourself to do all these things for so long, and then you have to tell yourself no, not once but over and over. And then you have the people that will come to you and you will get tested, and you have to say no again, but at that point you might be drained and tired from saying no. You just want the outcome of a whole new different life, but it literally takes time. So it's just like acknowledging who you really are. Only you know who you are. You can sit in front of a therapist, you can do meditations, you can do all these things, you can go to church, masjid. Only you know who you are inside. Only you know your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And until you can observe the thought and really take action, then you're just going to complete the same cycle. So I would say just be aware of who you are so that you don't, have those same, harmful is a good word, right? Harmful cycles.
Harmful cycles.
Piggybacking off of what you said, being aware, I feel like allowing your triggers to be like teachers for you. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
absolutely.
I like that.
If you keep getting triggered, like that should be a wake up call. Like, why am I feeling like this over and over again? Like, why is this triggering me? Why am I not able to control my emotions right now? Why am I lashing out? Like, these are, things that we need to ask ourselves. And when you ask yourself these type of questions, then it's like, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm not being true to myself. Maybe I'm in this trauma bond, you know what I mean? And it's like when we ask ourselves those questions, that brings awareness to us. And then, we're more able to recognize.
Yeah, two more things, right? Because with the essential oils, sometimes they will bring out some feelings that you don't want to feel.
Right.
But it's all so that you can acknowledge the feeling so that you can get a solution. And now, once you are aware of your triggers, of your pain points, now when I go into therapy, I done so much research on my feelings that you're not about to tell me you're giving me this type of therapy. I know I need this. I need meditation. I need this. I need this. Like, I know exactly what I need, so I'm not just being codependent, going to a therapist, thinking that they going to tell me what's wrong with me. When I know, I did the work now, so I know what I need to work. Now I know what I need to.
I just want to, like, you said something that I completely forgot. Is, like, even when you seek help, you still have to be able to voice for yourself. Right? You still have to be able to say no. That's where the no come in still. I had went to therapy. Like, I have a therapist. But when I first stepped into it, right, I didn't know too much about it. Culturally, we don't really embrace it, right? So it was kind of like also an out-of-body experience. But even going to therapy, and I did, what is it called? I did one where it's neurofeedback. So it's no more, it's verbal still, but you have the stems connected, and like they'll tell you your brainwave and everything. And after my session, you know, the therapist is doing what the therapist is going to do. Like, that's what their specialty is. Like, so no shame in the therapist. But it was like, I want to prescribe you medication. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here for. I'm extremely sad.
Yeah.
And in an extremely sad space I'm in, what you're offering me is not what I need.
Right. That's a cover-up.
It's a cover-up.
Yeah.
So
And
still
don't get me
advocate
started
for
on
yourself.
Don't get me started on the doctors and big pharma. So they just,
You still
it's a
have
whole
to do the
setup.
work.
Yeah, big time.
So.
You gotta do the work. That it's crazy because I talked to a therapist like one time, but that is something that I want to do because like I feel like being in this space, you know what I mean? There's things that, you know, maybe I have not recognized that maybe a professional could help me, you know, recognize. But I feel like I've done a lot of self-work that it has never really been like the front of what I felt like I needed to do, but I feel like it is something that I want to do, like implement. Like it's good for your health. Like
Let me
just
tell
like,
you, something just came to me, right? You are your own safe space. You are like, yes,
Facts.
you like, no, seriously, and I'm directly to you. For me, to you.
Okay.
No, for real.
I said this for the
Legit.
phone.
You are,
I'm playing. I'm playing
You know,
with
you are your own safe space, because it's like, even the professionals, like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this thing, like it's in you. It's in you. Like
that
you know,
is
you
true.
a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And the rough part is the trauma that's covering us. The diamond
gotta,
is
like,
there.
dig
The
down,
magic is there.
And
We constantly get things that different thoughts that speak to us. It could either be negative or it could be positive. Tap into the positive thought. It's there.
Yeah.
You can literally create spaces in your own home.
Yeah.
And you could be your own professional.
Period.
And there's so much technology and stuff like that. It don't take a lot.
And that's why I feel like maybe I haven't gotten a therapist, because I feel like, you know, I do feel like that, you know, that I am able to talk myself down, or I'm able to kind of sit and navigate through things. It wasn't always like that. You know what I mean? It took me to be sad as shit, or it took me to, you know, go off the deep end, or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And it takes those hard moments to, you know, allow us to see things like that.
You want to know who your therapist is? Who your therapist, so you could look as a therapist?
God,
the people you surround yourself with.
That too. But yeah,
you know?
Also, I feel like I take a lot of my issues to God. You know what I mean? Like, faith has really helped me so much. And just understanding that God always has everything working out for
all
us.
the time.
Like, even the worst shit. Like, I told y'all, like, before, like, I done went through divorce, loss, everything. Yeah. And my life is so lit right now, y'all. I would have never thought, like, I was fucked up about half of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, thinking, like, my world was, like, over. And it's like, no, like, those things had to happen so that way I could, you know, recognize these things. And not only did I get to help myself, but now I get to help other people feel better internally, you know, be fun on the inside. So it's like everything works out. And that's why I try to remind people, like, things are always working out for us, even when it doesn't seem like it.
On a spiritual level, and a lot of people don't believe it, whether they believe it or not. But yeah, when I say we divinely guided, like, I know, like, if you can ask me anything that I'm sure about, I definitely know if I tap in spiritually, even when it comes to men, I be like, is this person good for me? Is this person? Don't let me go to tap in spiritually. I get answers. Right. So, yeah.
But it's listening to the answers.
Listening
and that goes
to
back.
Action.
Yeah.
But, like, I might be on the opposite coin of what you said. Like, what you said is very much so true, right? You are your safe space. But you also are the unsafe space, too. Right? You can create chaos. You know, you can create blockage. And you become an avoidant type,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it taps into, like I said, you basically mold yourself into who you want to be, right?
Yeah.
So it's either you become an avoidant type, like it goes into your personality now, or the anxious type, right? And the avoidant type is just be like, well, no, I'm good. You know, I A, B, C, D, I know how to get myself out of here. But then without consciously being aware, there's something that you're blocking yourself from actually receiving. So that's where I feel like the right therapist comes in play.
Yeah, right? It is good. The right therapist, friends.
Yeah, I went through sorry.
No,
I went through multiple therapists. Like, literally, I was doing, like, speed dating.
So you found the right one.
Yes, it was like, one of them I got on a call was like, I'm going to need you to read the Bible. Next. I'm sorry. Like, that's not what I need, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to go through a space. So it's like, yes, we are our own safe space, but at the same time, we can, like, be our own. We can handle ourselves, too.
Yeah.
So it's like, at times you need that person, that external thing to help you out, right?
For sure.
And friends are great, right? But do you have that friend that will tell you the truth, like the hardcore truth,
and also like
not the one that tells you the truth, but kind of like, no, I want to know, like, tell me, like.
And not everybody is self-aware. Somebody might be telling you something from a foggy mindset. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They might not have done the work, and now they trying to tell you how to navigate through stuff. They don't even know. You know what I mean? So.
And picking your therapist is essential because at the same time, remember, they are human beings just like you and I.
And and not being codependent. So my whole point is saying, I'm not saying that I'm not against therapy.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is learn and tap into yourself enough to know that all things is for a time. So you don't, you have you at the end of the day. If your therapist is not there, you eventually want to be so tapped in with yourself that when you are unsafe, you can recognize that you're being unsafe. And that whoever you are surrounding yourself with, you should have at least 5 people, at least one person minimum that can have that raw, authentic conversation. And seeking therapy, counseling, whatever you need, whatever resource, while you can, but knowing those are tools for you to learn. So you going to therapy for all this time, and they're telling you techniques and things to do, but you're not applying. At the end of the day, you still have to choose. Whatever you choose, you still have to choose.
Like the biggest advice that I feel like I received, which was like top tier, was you have to learn to be confident in your no's and your yes, right? So for me, it's like, if I'm not receiving that on the other line, like that was the phone call I got, and I was just like, wait, what? If you keep calling and asking people to help you dissect things, you're not confident in making your own personal decision. That's where the codependency come in as well too.
Well, cheers to us. We starting off the new year.
Yes,
we're
this was a great episode.
Yes,
for the first episode of the year. This was great.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't really be knowing about trauma bonds and all that. So this was great. Well, thank you guys so much. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Follow Fine on the Inside on all the platforms, and we will see y'all next time.
Till next time.
Till next time.